Hello and welcome back to Man v Film. It's time for another top 10 of movies that you can watch for November 2021. Now remember, if you like these lists, share, subscribe, like the video, or even join the membership program or the Patreon to make sure that they keep coming. So let's just dive straight in. Number 10, Old School. Three men try to halt a midlife crisis by forming their own fraternity in Mitch's new house on a college campus to relive their glory days by bringing together a variety of misfit college students, losers, middle-aged and elderly retirees as their new friends. Todd Phillips' amazing comedy movie still lives up to the chuckles that I had when I first saw it. It is incredibly endearing and funny, and yes, it's incredibly silly, but that doesn't matter. When this has as big a hit ratio as laughs as this movie does, it's incredibly fun to watch and one that I highly recommend checking out. I think Will Ferrell's performance is great and it just shows you how much magic he can have as a supporting character rather than just the main lead. Number 9, V for Vendetta. In the distant future, Evie Hammond is an average citizen of the UK which is under the rule of a fascist and tyrannical party. She is an employee of the state-run British television network, but soon she becomes the #1 enemy of the state, together with an enigmatic and larger-than-life freedom fighter known only by the letter V. It's November, it's time to put on V for Vendetta. It's become an almost yearly ritual for me. It's a movie that I think is way better than it's regarded because I think the action's terrific, the story's really pulsive and keeps it going. It has these beats of terrific action along with these beats of emotional storyline that really hammer home a lot of what's going on in this apocalyptic politically apocalyptic future that we're kind of watching here. Amazing performances, amazing direction, some wonderful set pieces, and a movie that just, as I've said, has become a yearly ritual for me. Number 8, SHAZAM. In Philadelphia, Billy Batson is an abandoned child who is proving a nuisance to child services and the authorities with his stubborn search for his lost mother. However, in his latest foster home, Billy makes a new friend, Freddy, and finds himself selected by the wizard SHAZAM to be his new champion, now endowed with the ability to instantly become an adult superhero by speaking the wizard's name. SHAZAM is incredibly fun. It's a DC movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. Its tongue is firmly in its cheek. It's got a great bad guy, it's got some wonderful comedic moments as you have this idea of this adolescent suddenly thrust into manhood but with incredible powers at the same time as well. Hilariously funny, some great action set pieces, a really great direction as well, and it's something that I think is just a really fun throwaway superhero movie. Number 7, Night and Day. Looking forward to attending her sister's April's wedding, the commitment-shy tomboy and classic cars aficionado, June, catches a plane to Boston. Then, out of the blue, she crosses paths with the handsome and charming stranger with a killer sense of humour, Roy. And just like that, June's life will never be the same again. Directed by James Mangold, starring Cameron Diaz and Tom Cruise, this seems to be a forgotten movie. I recently rewatched it and I had a lot of fun with this. I think the chemistry between Diaz and Cruise is palpable. It's really fun. You can tell they're having a great deal of fun making this. The direction by James Mangold is great. The constant action set pieces are terrific, and this strong tongue-in-cheek sense all the way through the movie makes it kind of playful and fun just to sit and watch. Number 6, There Is Someone Inside of the House. As the countdown to graduation begins, McCanny and her classmates are stalked by a killer intent on exposing their darkest secrets to the entire town, terrorising victims while wearing a lifelike mask of their own faces. With a mysterious past of her own, McCanny and her friends must discover the killer's identity before they become victims themselves. This is one of those recommendations with a little bit of a caveat. I think it's good, but it really falters in the last third, but it has a lot of really good slasher traits. If you're a fan of the genre, you're going to find something here that you like. You may not love it, but it's enjoyable. It has some really interesting set pieces, some wonderful gore and effects, and really leans into the slasher tropes for a little while within the movie. It does break away from that in certain scenes. Some scenes I really love where the killer is in amongst a group of people and people are aware of it. You know, it just breaks the mold a little bit, but that final third really kind of lets it down a little bit. Number 5, Zombieland, Double Tap. A decade after their first adventure, the zombie-bashing team of Columbus, Tallahassee, Wichita and Little Rock move to the American heartland. Here they face off against evolved zombies, fellow survivors and the growing pains of their own makeshift family. I was kind of surprised by Zombieland 2 because such a time had passed. It did bring back the original creative team, but I wasn't expecting it to be as funny as it was, and a lot of that humour comes from some of the new characters that are included within this film. It ramps everything up a little bit, but still having homages to the original as well. Not as funny as the original, but it is a really enjoyable, fun movie. More comedic than horror. It definitely leans towards the laughs, and most of the time they land. I love seeing the characters back on screen as we have this foursome and just their interactions as a bickering family in a post-apocalyptic America is incredibly endearing. Number 4, Night Teeth. To earn some extra cash, quirky college student Benny moonlights as a chauffeur for one night. His task, drive 2 mysterious young women around Los Angeles for a night of party hopping. Taken captive by his client's charm, he soon learns that his passengers have their own plans for him and an insatiable thirst for blood. Night Teeth is another Netflix original. This one was more my kind of movie. I enjoyed it. It's not 100% perfect, but it's fun. And the fun comes from the 3 characters within the limousine a lot of the time. The 2 vampiric girls and Benny, who's kind of stuck there realising the real horrors that exist within this world and possibly his future as well. There is tremendous action set pieces that come out of nowhere in the movie that are so fun, but it's the playful nature between the women and Benny and how the relationships kind of blossom throughout the movie. I think it's really kind of endearing the way that we have these characters kind of, well, I don't want to spoil that certain aspect of it, but the action more than makes up for some of the downfalls within the movie. There's a great deal of world building done here that is terrifically well done, and yeah, I would say check it out. Number 3, Fight Club. An insomniac unnamed narrator needs a fantasy to escape from his deadly boring life. He tries joining a cancer support group, however, the only thing they do in the group is cry. But then he's on a plane on a way back from what the viewer would assume is a business trip, and our unnamed narrator encounters Tyler Durden, a soap-selling badass who happens to run a secret fight club. Fight Club is one of my favourite movies and books as well. I think it's a great adaptation. I think David Fincher directs the hell out of this, and the cast are simply amazing. It's a kind of nihilistic poking fun at the way we have become desensitized males in this modern society where we are driven towards things rather than the people that we are. It still holds up that fantastic viewing. Every time I watch it, I am enamoured by the characters. I'm drawn in by the storyline. I want to see what bleakness and darkness and silliness and dark humour this unearths, and I always enjoy every time I watch it. Number 2, The Green Mile. Paul Edgecombe walked the mile with a variety of cons. He had never encountered someone like John Coffey, a massive black man convicted of brutally killing a pair of young sisters. Coffey had the size and strength to kill anyone, but not the demeanour. Beyond his simple, naive nature and a deathly fear of the dark, Coffey seemed to possess a prodigious supernatural gift, and Paul begins to question whether Coffey was truly guilty of murdering the 2 girls. The Green Mile is one of those movies that whenever I catch it on TV or streaming, I am hooked from the opening shot. It's a story that just drags you into it, and as much as you possibly try and resist, you can't help but go in this wonderful dramatic tale of a man dealing with the death row of this prison and people who are ultimately headed towards a quicker end than they originally thought they were going to get. Michael Clarke Duncan is absolutely brilliant as Coffee, and that's weighted by a lot of the great performances, Tom Hanks especially, as Paul, as a character who suddenly has his eyes opened after years of being on this job, suddenly encountering something that really inspires a kind of faith and wonder of the world back into the character. Give this one a shot if you haven't seen it. You will not be sorry. Number 1, The Lighthouse. As the wavering cry of the foghorn fills the air, the taciturn former lumberjack Ephraim Winslow and the grizzled lighthouse keeper Thomas Wake set foot in a secluded and perpetually grey islet off the coast of late 19th century New England. For the following 4 weeks of back-breaking work and unfavourable conditions, the tight-lipped men will have no one else for company except each other. The Lighthouse is not for everybody. I thought it was fantastic. Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson are our two characters. It's a two-piece. It's them for the whole movie as they slowly start to go insane, being stuck on this rock with the sort of barbaric weather that is beating them down, with the little quirks that each other has slowly getting on the nerves of each other. It's incredibly fun, incredibly playful. It's a horror movie where the horror is more by these two people just living their lives and being antagonistic to one another. It's incredibly well shot. I love the black and white photography, the framing, the idea of the mysticism almost behind it. And more than anything, I love Willem Dafoe's sheer disdain at being accused of being a poor cook. I hope you enjoy this one. So there we have it, 10 films that I hope you love, or at least find something there that you want to check out, something that keeps your passion for film going this month. I'd love to know your thoughts on this list in the comment box below, and as always there's content up here. You can see more of my stuff, and remember to subscribe, like, share the video, or join the membership program in the Patreon if you really want to support me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.